Hey, how you doing? It's good to see you again. So, hopefully your day went well. Cause man, my day was a little, a little stressful this morning. Gosh, let me tell you about it when I start eating dinner. But first, I'm about to cook. Generally, sometimes when I like to cook, I like to have a little bit of whiskey on the side, either whiskey or wine, but generally whiskey just because it tastes better. So, what am I making? I have no idea what it's called. So what I'm making, I generally like to use garlic pretty much to cook with everything, and I'm adding a little bit of Thai chili pepper, kind of add some sauce and flavor to it. So I'm gonna end up basically mixing Thai chili pepper with garlic. I'm gonna saute that with some organic ground beef, with some shiitake mushroom, some celery, and some Chinese, I don't know, yu choy vegetable type of thing. So yeah, I'm gonna get dinner prepared and then we're gonna sit down, we're gonna have a little conversation, just kind of like discussing just kind of how my day went. It was kind of a weird day, man. So yeah, let me get this finished and we'll get started. Oh man. All right, let's eat dinner. So I made a pretty simple dish. Usually I always cook with brown rice. And whatever else I kind of just feel like mixing. So in this case, I use, what's it called? Oyster sauce, put a little bit of chicken stock broth, let it season, or sorry, not season, but kind of let it simmer a little bit so I could cook the vegetables nice and soft. And yeah, it looks good, man. So hopefully your day is going well. Because my day, it started off really weird early this morning. So I had like an eval for a new patient over here next to Bellevue. And before I went in there, the caregivers at the home were like, hey, listen, this guy's a little resistant to care, so I just want to give you a warning ahead of time, just to kind of make sure that you're not surprised by how he's reacting towards your questions and comments. So I'm like, okay, sounds good. And generally when I hear that from people, it's kind of hard, but I think you're probably the same way. If like someone tells you, hey, be careful of something, all of a sudden you're like, oh, your guard's already kind of up. And anyway, that's how I kind of felt like anyways with this patient. So I started doing my evaluation with this guy, trying to get to know him. And you could already tell just by the way he's looking at me, he's very, very skeptical, right? And he started asking me questions like, hey, so what are you gonna do for me as far as therapy? And I'm like, okay. You know, generally speaking, therapy is kind of meant to help rehab, kind of improve your strength, improve your functional mobility, and just kind of improve, you know, get you back home. And that's kind of what I was kind of explaining to him, like, hey, look, my goal is to kind of get you stronger so you can recover quickly so you can go back home to your wife. And he asked me this stupid, I don't want to say it's a stupid question, but he's like, all right, give me an honest answer. Can you cure my stroke? I'm like, no, I can't. And he did this weird, stupid thing, like, woo. I'm like, okay, what are you doing? What does that mean? And apparently, I guess it means like, whoop-de-doo. Meaning, I guess it's like a sarcastic, like, yeah, you can't do shit for me, right? That's what I kind of took it as. And so it was such a drag. And in the end, he's just like, you know what? If you can't do anything to cure my stroke, then I don't even want to bother. Fine. You know, like, God. And I don't know about you, but it's like, I'm pretty skeptical with healthcare too. Like, you know, doctors, like, I feel like they're a waste of time. But, you know, we're all generally trying to help people. So, and I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. It was annoying. But then I try to keep my spirits up, trying to keep a positive attitude. And then, I don't know if you guys know, but today is Super Tuesday, and I've been really following politics a little bit here and there. And this is a big year. Like 2020 is the election year, and trying to get fucking Trump out of the fucking office because that guy's a freaking joke. But it's like, you know, as far as like Democratic candidates goes, I'm trying to root for Bernie Sanders. And I never used to be into politics. Like, I only got into politics when Trump got elected, which was like back in 2016, right? Because it's just like, dude, how can this country vote for an idiot like this guy? But yeah, sure enough, he's our president. And it's always funny sometimes when I'm asking my patients, like, we're asking for like alert orientation, like, are they alert to what's going on with current events? And every time I ask them, so who is our president? They're all just like, Trump. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's funny, like, you know, they all, even though they're older, generally speaking, like older people are Republicans, but it's like they still believe that Trump is a joke of a president, which he is. Anyways, so Super Tuesdays today, meaning that I guess there's a lot of states kind of voting for their delegates. I don't know. Sorry, this is why I'm not really into politics, but I guess the two front runners right now are like Biden and Bernie Sanders. I think Elizabeth Warren's in there too, but she's kind of falling off. And Mike Bloomberg, yeah, fuck that guy. Mike Bloomberg can kiss my ass because he's just trying to essentially buy the election, right? So I mean, what do you think? What are your politics? Like, what are your values? Like, as far as my values goes, it aligns pretty much really well with Bernie Sanders because I consider myself a pretty, what do you say, a friendly guy, or not friendly, but like friendly but willing to help other people. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what the word is. Chivalrous. In this case, his socialistic policies, right, or platform, Medicare for all, trying to get rid of college debt. College should be free. Like, I kind of did a research on this earlier this morning, kind of breaking down the different viewpoints of like Biden, for example, who's kind of like a centrist Democrat, to like Bernie Sanders, who's kind of more like far left progressive, right? And growing up, I've always kind of been a progressive person. I've always believed in like, free rights for everybody. I'm not really racist towards like, any type of particular race or gender, because honestly, we're all just people. It shouldn't matter. What else does he believe in? He believes in like, the whole green, climate change stuff. And the main thing, I don't know if you've noticed this or not, the main thing about Bernie Sanders is that he started a movement, right? He's gotten so many people like me, hopefully people like you, who are all of a sudden really into politics and realizing that, you know what? We cannot let like these corporate rich bastards just continue to delegate and guide us and set our policies for us. Like, I don't know if you've noticed, but it's like, we're struggling. Like the Gen X people, the millennials, like I'm a millennial generation and it's hard. Look at the housing prices. Look at this, like healthcare, for example. Healthcare is such a big thing for me and for everyone, for a lot of us. Because I'm pretty sure you feel the same way. It's like I'm afraid to see my doctor because I don't want to get that bill at the end of the month and just like ending up paying like $1,000 for just something that I didn't really need. And also, it's just like Bernie, he actually seems like a really decent guy. I mean, when I say decent, meaning like he's not corruptible, right? I mean, we all know this in the past, like all politicians are the same, all politicians are corrupt. But for once in my life, or at least in my generation of politics, like Bernie Sanders seems like a really legit dude. They're actually equating him to like FDR, right? Franklin Roosevelt, just like, I don't know what year this was in. But if you remember from your history books, like FDR created like Medicare. I think he also set up Social Security. I think those are the two big ones that I could recall. And those are socialistic platforms, right? Can you imagine if we didn't have those systems set in place? Like, what would we do without Social Security? I know as hell a lot of my patients rely on Social Security to live off of, until they pretty much die. Excuse me. And I don't know why like people don't support Bernie Sanders more. And you could pretty much say this is the case, where it's like a lot of the Democratic, bigwigs, right? The platform itself, the Democratic National Convention, something like that. They don't want Bernie Sanders to win, which makes sense, right? He's also trying to create what's called a wealth tax. So like people who are making like a certain amount of money, I think basically 7 figures and up, if you're making that much money, you're gonna get taxed a lot more. And I don't see why not, right? Like, how much money do you freaking need to live off of? I mean, granted, even if you were like people like just Bezos, Elon Musk, granted billionaires, right? Just billionaires in general. What do you need that money for, right? How many more yachts, how many more islands do you need to buy? I know you worked hard to get that success, but it's like at some point you should be okay to like, you know what, that's fine. I'll get taxed like, I don't know, $100,000. Like to them, that's like $100 for probably even less, right? Considering you have $1 billion, you're getting $100,000 of tax. Like, I don't know. And this is why I kind of feel like we need to have Bernie Sanders for president, because we need to have this shit shaken up. We need to change and have our generation, for once, feel like we're taken care of and we're not struggling. You know what I mean? Like, can you imagine if college was free for you? Like, I would have loved to have that growing up. Because student debt is it's such a joke in this country. Like I know when I graduated grad school, I ended up having to pay close to $200,000. This was including my undergrad plus my grad school. And you could be saying like, well, you shouldn't have gone, you shouldn't have been more responsible and not taken out so much money. But it's like, that a high school education at this point is pretty much nothing, right? Bachelor's degree is pretty much an automatic, like you have to have a bachelor's degree to kind of get a successful, not successful job, but you need to have a degree to get a job because these days a high school diploma is worth jack shit. So, I don't know, man. And like right now, I was just reading Reddit a couple of minutes ago, just kind of how like Biden is kind of slowly taking up, I guess he's maintaining steam or something. He's starting to get ahead of Bernie Sanders. And I honestly, like if Biden does become the candidate for the Democratic, I guess, party, I mean, you could clearly see that there's basically just corruption going on. They don't want Bernie to win because it's gonna basically affect their bottom line, right? Corporations are affected, rich people are affected, and I like that Bernie is supporting us, right? The working class people, the normal people, the average citizen of the United States of frickin' America. Cheers, by the way. And so, if you please register. I registered to vote just again 2016. So make sure you register if you haven't registered yet. And I'm not gonna, tell you how to vote, but just be careful about the news that you see, a lot of the headlines, and just really make sure you're voting for what you feel is right and not what someone else is telling you. Like a lot of my friends are kind of centrist. Well, I guess two of them are like Patrick and Raph are kind of Republicans, because I guess the main thing for them is religion, right? But they're kind of, I guess in this case, centrist Democrats because they don't want Trump to win. But they're going to vote for probably Biden, if anything, because they don't believe in Medicare for all, which is freaking ridiculous. I don't understand how can you call yourself a Christian or a Catholic or whatever and not be willing to help other people who are less fortunate than you? I really don't get that. I mean, most of my friends who are like non-religious people are like some of the nicest people that I know. You know what I mean? Like they're just caring, they're giving, and they're willing to put themselves out there for other people. And so I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyways, this dinner is really good, by the way. It's really good. I haven't really been eating because I want to talk to you. But yeah, I mean, hopefully your day is going well. Hopefully your day is going well. Happy Tuesday, right? Anyways, it's always nice seeing you. It's always good talking to you. And I'm going to go ahead and finish dinner now. So I'll see you again tomorrow probably, all right? All right, have a good night.